I have been a Freemason for approximately 6 years now, and I was initiated, passed, and raised in Carroll County, Kentucky at Carrollton Lodge 134. I joined Freemasonry more out of curiosity than anything. I do have a family history of Freemasonry, but I did not discover that until after I had already become a Mason myself and found out that my grandfather and my uncle both were Master Masons. My curiosity was piqued when a friend of mine, a neighbor at the time, started spending less time with the friends group, and when asked what he was doing, he would just say he was studying. So finally pinned him down after a couple months, and I'm like, "What are you studying for?" I'm like, "I know you're not in school, so I'm curious, what are you studying for?" And that's when he told me he had become a Mason and it was just part of what he had to do. That was the end of that discussion, and maybe a month or so later, still he was studying all the time, so I pinned him down again and was like, "Hey, what are you studying so much for? What are you having to do for this?" You know, I was familiar with the Freemasons just in passing. You know, everybody sees the History Channel specials and all the stuff on the internet about the conspiracy theories, but I never really thought much of it. And so finally got him to tell me a little bit more, like, what is it? What are you doing there? What's the purpose of it? And after his semi-vague description of what all it was about, I was curious, and then I asked that all-important question, and that began my own journey. It can be difficult at times trying to juggle a career, family. Myself, I'm also back in school full-time in college, so the demands on my time are a lot, but I'm a firm believer that if something's important to you, that you will find time for it, and that has been the case when it comes to my Freemasonry work. The answer is a resounding no. I had no idea at the time when I started my journey exactly how much it would mean to me. I tell people all the time that are interested or just even curious about what we do, that it is the most important decision, the most important thing I've ever done solely for myself. I feel that it has helped me become a better person, become a better father, a better citizen, and a better friend to those in my life. And I don't think that I would necessarily be where I am spiritually, emotionally, mentally in life had I not joined Freemasonry, and I definitely attribute where I'm at to joining the fraternity. When it comes to Freemasonry, it's difficult for me to pin down what I would consider to be my favorite aspect of it. But the most rewarding part of it is the friendship, the brotherhood, and the fellowship. It's a cliche that's used so many times, and brothers will roll their eyes when they hear it, but you get out of it what you put into it. And it rings true. There's always a little bit of truth in every little saying like that. But the more that you get out in Freemasonry and you travel to lodges that aren't your own, you see other members, other brothers, and their setting, you get to know them a little bit better. But the even greater treat is to be at a gas station filling up your car, and you're approached by a gentleman that you've never seen before, may never see again, but because of your ball cap or the ring on your finger or a bumper sticker on your car, he knows that you're a brother, and he'll introduce himself, and then you get to have a conversation with somebody that, to borrow a little bit of a ritual, that otherwise remain at a perpetual distance. And so those for me are the most rewarding, and probably my favorite part is just those random encounters with people that you may never have come in contact with and would be impossible were it not for being a member of the fraternity. I have a horrible tendency of expecting myself and other people, and I feel I'm pretty passionate about Freemasonry and the positive changes it's had in my life, and I want that for everybody else. And so I struggle sometimes when I see a brother maybe that's been in for 20 years or 25 years, and I'm excited about something new that I've learned, and I go to him with it, and he's just dismissive about it, like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that before." Or that I get excited about a new event, a different degree, a cave degree going on, or an outside degree, and I'm coming to the lodge and, "Hey everybody, did you hear about this cool thing that they're doing?" And I maybe get a couple little sets of eyes that perk up or like excited about it, but for the most part everybody else might just be like, I'm busy that day," or "Yeah, I've been to that before." So for me, the least favorite part is Not everybody shares my high level of enthusiasm when it comes to Masonry. Guys have different strengths and different interests. If we're all identical, it'd be so boring. So you just have to keep that in mind and temper your own expectations. But there's definitely room for those that want to be excited about everything. And we just have to remember that not everybody gets excited about the same things we do. Whether we realize it or not, whenever we're out there, whenever we have the ring or the hat or t-shirt or bumper sticker on, we're representing everybody else in the fraternity. Just because some person maybe there's a young man that's wanting to join, he doesn't know much about it, and his grandpa was, and he's wanting to join, but he's not for sure how, and the next Freemason he sees beside his grandpa is throwing a Dixie cup out the window at somebody's windshield and screaming at him. It's not going to look good for all of us. So that's probably the biggest change I've gone through. Not that I'd ever assault somebody's vehicle, but I definitely was open with my words and in hand gestures on the interstate at times. So I try to remember, hey, if you're gonna support this and have this on your car and your hat, you need to make sure you represent all the time, not just whenever you're in lodge. As much as it may sound that I eat, breathe, and sleep Freemasonry, I do have other interests. Avid into history. I love learning about the things in the past. I'm a firm believer that if we don't learn from the past, we're going to repeat it. I think there's a lot out there for us to learn from. I enjoy getting to spend time with my family, my kids. I've got one new grandbaby, he's just 9 months old, and I have a hard time convincing my daughter that I don't indeed love him more than I love her. I think I've got her convinced. I don't think she hopefully never finds out the truth. But the love for a grandkid is definitely a different kind of love than even you have for your kids or anybody else in the world. Beyond that, a lot of academic studies. I mean, I loved researching things. I'm one of the kind of people that if I don't know something and if I get hit with a question, I'm going to go try to find the answer to it. I'm not comfortable living with I don't know or wondering what an answer is to something. And that's played well into some of the Freemasonry stuff. We definitely provide people with tools to help improve themselves, to improve their communities by being better themselves. But a lot of the times, especially in smaller lodges, we don't elaborate on it. You tell them this is what you should do and try to do this, and that's the end of it. But I'm one of the people that likes to know why. So having an interest in learning and research and history, it allows me to delve into Freemasonry's history, go back and look at our symbols, look at how things used to be. Why did we change them if we did change them? And that can open up some whole rabbit holes to get sucked into. Reading articles from the past and listening to interviews with other Freemasons, from the 1920s. You would think that almost 100 years separate us, but some of the problems and concerns that they had back then are identical to the ones we face today. I'm definitely a firm believer in not trying to reinvent the wheel, so the brothers that even though they're no longer with us, hopefully they have answers to some of the problems we face today that were similar for them. So other than that, I do occasionally play some video games with my kids. A little bit younger Mason answer there, I suppose. I enjoy spending time with my brothers outside of lodge. We have a lot of interest in getting together with our spouses, with our significant others, and helping to build that bond even deeper than just a bunch of guys that come in on once or twice a month and have dinner together, to get the families together and spread it more than just the guys that are involved. Unwillingness to change or to adapt. Although there is a certain beauty in our rituals and the words that we use that have been passed down from generation to generation, we need to be able to adapt to change, to modern times. Too often we see lodges that insist on keeping records in paper and pencil when we have so many better ways of doing things that are quicker, that'll free us up for more important tasks. But the resistance to change is massive. And it's not always the grumpy past masters, as we hear people jokingly laugh about as being resistant. I've seen it all the way across the board. And I think for us to be successful in reaching a younger generation of new and upcoming Masons, we're going to have to be where they are, and that's going to have to be in the digital realm. I think that we offer what is lacking in a lot of society through the interpersonal connections, through the fellowship, the brotherhood. And I think that this increasingly digital world, young people that grew up with that, they lack those skills. And I think as they mature, they're going to realize that, and they're going to be looking for something to help replace what they realize they're missing as they get older. And we're perfectly poised to do that by giving them that interpersonal connection, giving them outlets and positivity to help them as they mature. So unless we put ourselves where the people are going to be at, unfortunately, I feel like the future is going to continue to be bleak until we're willing to change and to adapt to where we are as a society. Here at Carrollton, the two biggest drivers we have right now, we just recently acquired a digital scanner that's going to allow us to archive our old paper copies of our old minutes and any other documents that we have. During a recent investigation for the Grand Lodge into our history to help chronicle our history for the upcoming anniversary of the Grand Lodge, we realized how fragile our paper documents are. As our lodge was originally founded in 1844 when we were chartered, we have some documents that go back almost to that time. And as we were chronicling and working on our history, we realized how fragile this stuff are. These lodges are. We've had a couple lodges lost to fire, to floods, to tornadoes recently, and without digital backups, all that history is lost. So that's kind of what prompted myself and a couple other brothers to start looking at this, and we identified a product that would enable us to do it here in-house versus trying to send it off to some third company and risk losing our stuff permanently or getting damaged. So our goal is to perfect the method ourselves, and we've already got buy-in from a couple other lodges within our own district that are curious and excited to have us help them with theirs once we get ours done. In addition to that, there have been talks with some of the other brothers that we need to start looking to the future. It felt to some of us like we were just treading water, waiting to hand off our lodge, as it were, to the next generation of Masons without much improvement. We need to start looking at these younger brothers, younger Masons that are coming up, and what are we going to leave them? And so we're working on ways to try to make sure that we leave them the best possible situation that they have to enable them to succeed as well, to carry on the history and the future of Carrollton Lodge into the future. One of the things we instill in our new entered apprentices when they come into the craft is that they are now part of something so much larger than themselves, so much larger than just the little small rural lodge in Carrollton or even in a big city lodge than they can probably grasp at the time. You are part of something that is hundreds of years old, that spans the entire globe. I've met people personally that have sat in lodges in Russia, in South America, in Haiti, in Europe, Spain, Canada, Australia, and have friends myself I've made through the internet, of brothers that I've become close friends with. And friendship is a key part of it, but I think what we have transcends just regular friendship. It's truly, you view these people as your brother. I know more about so many of my brothers that I never would have met had it not been for joining the fraternity than I even do some of my own blood family. So you can't help but develop those relationships. And absolutely, there are so many people, not only just in my small town, but around the globe that I've met and consider not only a friend, but a brother. And that is one of the most awe-inspiring things about me when I look back at my Masonic journey, is just the scope of how many people that you can meet that transcend being just a friend and become a true brother to you. Thinking on my own legacy, what do I want to be remembered by? Nobody likes thinking about the term legacy because that usually means you're not around anymore. Nobody likes embracing the idea of their own mortality. But there is a phrase I've learned since becoming a Mason. It's Latin, it's memento mori. It means remember you too will die. And it's a call to remind us that even though we will die, we need to live each day. We don't know when the call is going to come from the grand architect saying your time is up and you need to gather up your working tools and come home. So I just try to live each day. That if something were to happen tomorrow, if I didn't wake up in the morning or if something catastrophic would happen, that people that knew me, even just in passing, would say he was a good person. He would do what he could for you. Not perfect by any means. I could spend the rest of this battery on this recording device telling you all my flaws. But just to have people look back at you and say he was a good person and he would do what he could to help you. And personally, he was always smiling and to try to make people laugh. For me, there's no bigger honor than that.